What is up, guys? It is Sam the Raid Man. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be answering and going through you guys' #1 clan boss request recently. I spotlighted that amazing, really cool Brogni team that we did on stream, and basically people said, I don't have all these champions, what's a more budget version of this? So today we're putting Wixwell to the side, get him out of here. We're just focusing on Brogni teams. We're putting Krisk to the side, right? Obviously Krisk teams can work with Brogni, that's the perfect pairing, but I want to show you how to make a budget Brogni team work. That's what we're doing today. We're doing the most budget version of this. Now stick with me, we're going to talk about a lot of details. If you just want to see the teams, I guess you can skip through, but I'm going to be giving you lots of important context. I really suggest you stay and watch the whole video. I'll try and keep it as succinct and simple as possible. Real quick, guys, get your free legendary LNRO by clicking the link in the description of this video right now. You also get 3 amazing epics in Fane, Ugo, and Tagore as you level up throughout the game. I have 4 simple steps for you today. Step 1, log out of Player and Play on your PC and uninstall it. Step 2, click on the link in the description of this video and register with a brand new email address. Step 3, launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to your inbox and claim your free legendary LNRO. Do not miss out on this chance to get a free legendary LNRO as well as 3 epics, so make sure to click on this link before it expires. So Brogni, he is very different than Wixwell. Brogni grows the shield value based on how much damage he does with his A2. So if he hits for 100,000, he will increase each shield by 30,000. Now I say each shield because the very most simple level of a Infinity Shield team is you need multiple shields. You don't need 1, you at least need 2, and now you can actually have 3. So you get 1 from a skill. In my team today, that will be Brogni's skill. He'll place a shield right here. Krisk also places a shield if you use him. So that is 1, and then you get a shield from his shield set. So Valerie we're going to use today. Valerie is in a shield set, and so that's 2. And then there's a 3rd that comes from relics. I want to show you what it looks like without the relic and with the relic, and then we'll kind of talk about, basically I want to go through the most simple budget version of this and then talk about how to improve it, how to upgrade this team based on the champions you have. So Brogni obviously is a linchpin to this. If you're watching this video and you want to build this team, I'm assuming you don't have a Wixwell because that's a whole separate thing that I've made multiple videos for. With a Brogni team, you're going to have 5 slots. 1 is obviously Brogni. Then you need 3 buff extenders for slots 2, 3, and 4. And then you get 1 DPS. Now I would suggest you bring a DPS who brings something else, and I'll talk about that. We'll kind of go through the requirements for each slot. Obviously, Brogni is slot number 1. So let's talk about how to build him. Brogni has to be built for damage. He is one of the hardest champions to build, and he has to have the best gear of anybody on your team. So he has super low base attack at 782. The better soul you have, and if he's empowered or not, is huge. Also having masteries on him is also big. So the more damage you can get him to do, that will grow your shield faster. That being said, for Brogni on most teams, so not the Donatello team, because that's a very specific speed tune, but just most Brogni teams, you want him to get back to using his ability more and more often. So Merciless is a great way to do that, right? So Merciless, 4 pieces, every time he does damage, so A1 or A2, he has a 30% chance to decrease the skill cooldown. The way that we're going to set up his AI in this team is we're going to open with A1 and never use it again. So it's only alternating between the A2 and the A1. Both of those deal damage. Both of those have a chance of reducing the cooldown and giving us back to our shield growth ability more and more often. That's what we want. A perfect setup for him, I believe, would probably be 4-piece Merciless, 4-piece Reflex to, again, get back to that more and more often. That being said, you definitely need to ignore some kind of defense if you don't have decreased defense and weaken, or either of those. So mine is just in a 6-piece Merciless set. And his total stats for the Demon Lord, 5,300 attack, again with a 782 very low base attack, that's pretty high. 3,000 defense or close to it. Everybody in the team needs to have high defense because how high your defense is affects how much damage the clan boss does to your shields. 203 speed, he's the fastest on my team. We only need 85 crit rate because the other person we're going to bring in is Hellborn Sprite, who brings in increased crit rate to 15%. So your damage viewers only need 87 or 85%. 292 on the crit damage. This is a good build for him. Anything less than this, your team is just not going to do as well. Your Brogni build dictates how good your team is essentially. So that's Brogni. In a nutshell, you can put any relic on him that just gives him more attack. Attack is the hardest thing to get. Crit damage. Cat's Gaze would be amazing. He doesn't really need accuracy, but attack and crit damage, that's really what you're looking for. Blessings. I have Phantom Touch, which can help. You could do Nature's Wrath if you build him with accuracy because he can place HP burn. Or I would probably suggest Heaven Cast for most people because you're going to have a decent amount of buffs. So Heaven Cast would be a good blessing for him as well. All right, so let's get into the buff extenders. I really want to briefly go over some of the good buff extenders. I chose the most budget ones available, right? So this is 3-turn cooldown, increased buff duration. You can make it work with a 4-turn increased buff duration like Atlanticus, but she's not near as good. And it's not that she's not as good, it's just very difficult to make it work because you need to have like Reflex and Merciless on her, and it can fall apart. So some of the best ones, Mikage and Mad Hatter. Like that's as good as it gets. Chris is also up there, but those are like the least budget friendly. So then one step down to more budget friendly, Demitha and Godseeker Neri are both awesome, and they are void epics, so they're not as hard to get. A little bit lower level, we have a regular epic, an Anchorite, and Sandlash Survivor. Those are both options. Hellborn Sprite and Valerie are the most budget options, and those are rares. There are other champions. I believe Owella can do it. I know Malkith can do it. And there are Androck can do it, but there are other ones, but those are your main tier ones that you'll see the most often. Obviously Wixwell can do it as well, but again, kind of separate situation there. So what do you need from your buff extenders? The reason that Mad Hatter and Mikage are so great is because they're doing that well, the buff extension, and they're bringing something else. So Mikage is bringing ally attack on A1, ally attack on A3, and increasing debuff durations, or sorry, decreasing duration of enemy buffs and increasing duration of enemy debuffs. So if you have decreased defense and weaken and poison, things like that, she's increasing that as well. And then she's bringing in this huge ally attack with everybody, also bringing in increased attack and increased crit damage. So she is amazing just for boosting your team damage. Mad Hatter is awesome because he brings in Hex and Weaken. Weaken is huge. And then he brings in a miniature ally attack here. Whoever's got the best crit damage, typically your DPS, he would bring them in as well just to do more damage. And he gives you some turn meter, which is awesome. So Mad Hatter's amazing. That being said, we're going to be using Valerie and Hellborn. And Hellborn is great. She's one of my recommendations for budget options because she brings increased crit rate. Again, so less stats you have to build. And she brings a small weaken on your A1. So if you bring your DPS only brings in decreased defense and not weaken, then this could kind of work. Obviously you want full weaken, you want full decreased defense, but she is a good rare option. And then Valerie is built in a shield set. So one of your buff extenders needs to be built in a shield set, and that will provide your second shield. So she's built in a shield set, and typically you want semi-high HP on the person in your shield set. So we're just using the basic speed tune on Deadwood Jedi website. If you go to Deadwood Jedi and search basic, or just Google basic Deadwood Jedi, you can find it. It's just a 1-to-1. Everyone's got to be between like 171 and 209. And in this team, you want Brogni to be the fastest. We don't really care about crit rate or crit damage, but everyone needs to have a high defense. My goal and your goal should be probably 3,000 defense or higher for pretty much everybody. Less than that and things will start falling apart. So everyone's got super high defense on my team. 5,000 defense, 4,700 defense. And then lastly, I use Godseeker Aniri, and she's got 7,700 defense, which is overkill, but that's what we went with. And then for damage dealers, there's so many good options. The best is obviously Titus, who I don't have, much to my chagrin. And he was in the Donatello video. His is, if you want to get 2 billion or crazy numbers, 1 billion, you need Titus essentially for a Brogni team. But there are lots of great options. Ninja is amazing, especially if you have Mikage. Ninja and Mikage pair unbelievably well together. This, on my account, is the only team I've reached 1 billion with, is a Ninja. Is a Wixwell team, but a Ninja team. But there are lots of amazing options. Ideally, someone would bring decreased defense and weaken, decreased defense and weaken. So Gentoro, great option. Bellinor, good option. Razin, solid option. Dracomorph, great option. Fane, Anax, Rugnor, Swirin, all great options. That being said, you don't have to, or Zargala is a good option. You don't have to have both of those things. The one that we use today is probably the most budget friendly, and that's Geomancer. And the reason Geomancer is so great is because he does really good damage with reflecting, but he also helps you stay alive longer and keeps your shields bigger by reflecting a lot of the damage, and he brings in weaken and HP burn. So that is who we're going to use today. So our team is Geomancer, Underbreach Brogni, Godseeker Neri, Hellborn Sprite, and Valerie. Let me show you the AI setup. We're going to show you run number 1, which is with no relic, and I want to show you how good this team can do. So Geomancer, he kind of built for damage, 190 speed, 5200 defense, 47k HP, 190 crit rate, full crit rate, or sorry, 190 speed, full crit rate, 202 crit damage, 305 on the accuracy, prioritizing Quicksand Grasp, and then the Creeping Petrify. Godseeker is just going to prioritize her buff extension. She's 179. Brogni, like we said, is going to open with his block debuffs, increase attack, shield, don't use it again, then prioritize Cavern's Grasp to grow the shield. Hellborn, don't use the A2, we want to use the A3 every time she can, and then the A1 whenever she's not. Valerie, we're not placing the first one, we're just using the A2 as often as she can. Now, I will go through multiple ways to improve this. This is like the most baseline version. I think if you can't build this, you probably shouldn't be building a Brogni team. We're going to use multiple keys, but the first thing I want to show you is just the most simple, most budget version of this team I think that you can build. Now, obviously, I have some awakenings and stuff like that. This team did 57 million. Let me make myself a little bit smaller, or a lot smaller. Geo did 27. Brogni did 25, and the rest of them did like 2 or less. Like they're just not going to do that much damage. Even with War Match, they can do a little bit, but never a ton. This only lasted to 58 turns, so barely past a unkillable team. This is like the most budget, not even really an infinity shield team, right? But this is like the most simple version of a Brogni team. Even with worse stats, you can definitely get to a 2 key. So that's why it is, that's awesome. But let me show you what it looks like when we add that third shield, which is going to come from that relic. That's going to be the easiest way to take a step forwards. And then I want to talk about other ways to take steps forwards. So part of the issue with this team is when someone starts dying, we lose our buff extender and we lose the count of the buffs. So the buff extenders, you can start bringing in skill set or cooldown reduction things as well. So refresh accessories, merciless artifact sets, and reflex artifact sets, as well as like cycle of magic and those kinds of things. So those kind of things can also help reduce, increase your buff duration. So if Hellborn goes down, we've still got 6 turns of buffs before the team falls apart. So that is one way to move things forward. But I would say the other way to move things forward, besides just increasing stats, is adding the Vol Cardiac Heart. And it's a mythical relic. I get that not everyone has this, but I'm doing my best to show you guys all the different pieces that can go into this. And this will place a magma shield, which functions as a third shield. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like in 1 second. But the way that Brogni increases, and Wixblood does the same thing. When he increases a shield, he adds a certain amount to each shield. So let's show you what it looks like really quickly, and then I'll kind of talk through this. So right now, Brogni just placed a shield. So we have shield, magma shield, 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 magma shield, shield. The protected one is the one that Brogni just placed with his skill. The first one is the skill set shield, and then the magma shield is the relic shield. And so right now, the shields don't look that much bigger. Obviously, if it falls off of anybody, then we would have an issue. But once he starts ally attacking there, he just grew, let's say he grew it by 30,000, just to keep it simple. Instead of growing 2 shields by 30,000 each, he grew 3 shields by 30,000 each. And so now we're going to grow all of those, grow all of those. By the time the first shield gets popped, because the clan boss only does damage to 1 shield at a time, the other 2 shields should be even bigger than they were before, or they would have been before, so that we can survive longer. So I'm going to go ahead and let this one run, but I do want to talk about some other things that we can improve. Obviously, better damage dealers make a big difference. Obviously, better gear makes a big difference. I tried not to go crazy on the gear. I told the optimizer to not grab any gear that was on people, with the exception of Brogni, and I blocked most of my best champions. Like I said, Brogni, you almost need to have merciless and like ignore defense and skill set reduction. Like really a cooldown reduction is almost necessary for him. Now, let's say instead of Geomancer, one champion that I really like to bring is Ragash. I think he's a really good DPS option because he does decrease defense, but he also does increase speed and strengthen. And increased speed is a great way to go. This is a speed tune, like again, the most basic, most simple version. I don't want to present you guys with 10 speed tunes, but Ragash would let us all go faster and provide strengthen, meaning we just take 25% less damage, which also affects 25% less damage to our shields. He does good damage, and then he provides increased defense to himself. And so he would be a great damage doing option. And then we'd have the miniature weaken from Hellborn Sprite as well. The more, like the better debuffs we have, so decreased defense and weaken, the less onus there is, or the easier it is for Brogni to grow the value of those shields, right? So he does more damage with his A2 when you have decreased defense and weaken up. We never have decreased defense, so he's doing less damage, which means the shields are growing less. I will say, I already noticed that Brogni has lost his magma shield, which might be an issue, might not be an issue, we will see. He still has 2 shields, so hopefully it shouldn't be an issue, which is weird because he definitely wasn't taking the stun or taking a ton of damage in the last run. But we'll let it keep going. I'm confident that it'll work. And then another thing that also can improve the run like this would be decrease attack. So decrease attack means clan boss does less damage, which means that you do less damage to your shield and the shields will grow longer. And that how big your shield is matters in terms of how long you survive. There is still a cap on it. I believe it's 1 million that the shield can get to. But that's, I believe that's per shield. I could be completely wrong, but you get to that faster. And also when you start taking damage past that, you get back up to that faster based on how good your Brogni build is and how good his damage is. But yeah, what I was going to say is maybe you don't need ignore defense completely. You could just do 4-piece merciless and 4-piece reflex if you have decreased defense and weaken and like increased attack, increased crit damage on your Brogni. We already have increased attack from himself. He brings that. The increased crit damage can come from Mikage. Champions like Nuke can be very good. Champions with cruelty can be very good, or Harima, where you lower the defense of the boss. Anything that enables Brogni to do more damage will help the team do more damage. Also, the biggest way to scale this up besides more stats is faster runs, right? So everyone here is like 190-ish speed, basically. Again, using that basic speed tune, which is this one right here, Dead Jedi speed tunes, basic, and it's got 171 to 209 for everybody. And then when you look at it, these are all their stats. and it just goes 1-to-1 until the end. Essentially, it's very, very simple, very, very straightforward. But we can very easily make this a 2-to-1 team, and put in a Lydia. Lydia is a great option for this team because she brings in decreased defense and weaken. She also brings in increased speed and strengthen for us. So she is an unbelievable option. I would say she's for sure the next step up above Geomancer, that maybe you don't have the ninja, or you don't have the stats to build a ninja. So she is a great, great choice. Now, there are obviously much more complex ways to build this team, right? We showed the very specific Donatello team, which I'm going to make a version of that on my account. I don't have Titus, but I have better gear on my account. So I'm going to build it with a different champion or different champions. I don't have Androck as well, and show that Donatello team, which is speed tuned. And that's a very different function than this team. Now, one thing I will point out as well is you can see that these buff turn counts are not super high. And that's because Hellborn Sprite, Godseer Canary, and Valerie do not have any skill set or cooldown reductions in their gear. Maybe one or two of them have Cycle of Magic, so there's like a 5% chance of it happening, but no one's in Merciless, no one is in Reflex. So when the second one of them goes down, we're in trouble. If you guys have any questions about how to build a team like this, let me know in my Discord. Stay tuned for future videos because we're going to talk more and more about this. But I got a lot of questions about like you're excluding people because I don't have these champions, I don't have these great champions. Everyone, if you have Brogni, you can get these champions, or you can run 2 Valeries, you can run 2 Hellborn Sprites, you can run 3 Godseer Canaries, you can run a Demitha in here. Everyone can get Mikage eventually. Like there are lots of. This is the most like free-to-play, budget-friendly Brogni team that I could possibly create that has some level of success. Again, the gear is not crazy here, the damage is not crazy here. I understand that this one requires a relic, but if you don't have a relic, you need better champions or better gear. That's kind of just like the unfortunate lay of the land. But hopefully this can help a lot of you guys figure out how to get a 1 key with a Brogni team. So I'm going to take myself off camera and come back once the team dies. So team is falling apart. People have died. We lost Brogni multiple times, and Godseer kept bringing him back until turn count 50 when the clan boss starts block reviving. So the shield is no longer growing. So definitely lots of area for improvement on this team, obviously. But we got to 60 million and a little bit past it. So I guess the takeaway at the end of the day is for Brogni teams where you only have Brogni and you don't have Krisk, it is very, very difficult to 1 key, but it is very, very possible to 2 key. I will show you again that Donatello team. Hopefully you guys maybe were able to do the fusion, and I can show you. I will try and build a budget version of that Donatello team first, and then in the same video, hopefully, assuming it's not too much information, the like extreme, how far can I push that Donatello team as well. Let me make myself smaller. We'll take a look at the damage. Geomancer did 27, Brogni did 23, so very similar to what we just saw. The team did go a lot longer. So Valerie did 5 million, Hellborn did 1.9, and Godseer did 1.7. So not crazy big improvement, but again, the team is just dying way too early, and Brogni can't grow the shields that fast. So hopefully this was helpful in terms of how to build a budget version of the Brogni team. Let me know if you guys have any specific questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them in my comments or my Discord. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more daily raid content, and I'll see you guys on the next one.